because we've had people want to come who haven't been able to make it at the specific time and they've asked for recordings. So we want to make sure we give that to them, especially because we're going over some information for, about the SSI score and stuff. So just, the group, it's kind of developed into this really amazing community. I mean, I get messages in my inbox so much of people saying, oh, I found this, and it seems like such an amazing group of people that you don't normally get on LinkedIn. And I just am so happy to be able to continue to facilitate that for all of you and to help people connect and grow through the platform. I put together a little presentation that I'm going to go ahead and share really quick for everyone. Sorry, got a little leftover. It wouldn't let me put the presentation up right away. All right. And I gotta move, zoom to the other side. Okay. So we've already done some of this. Margot and I introduced ourselves. I will share the presentation as well for people later if you want to look at things closer. The first thing we wanted to talk about was we are going to start a VIP club for the Business Owners Network, and it's going to be $99 a month for the first 25 members. And there's going to be benefits that come with it. We're going to do a monthly course on things to help you build your business. It's going to be worksheets, group activities. So everyone who's in the group will kind of be working towards this common goal together. For some of you who are here that, help other businesses, we would definitely be willing to bring in some other people on that to teach things that Margot and I maybe don't have expertise in. But we're just going to really make it this place where people can come and grow their business. There's also going to be an opportunity to be a featured member in the main group. So currently we've been doing just anyone as a featured member, but once the VIP group gets started, that's going to go specifically to VIP members. You will also get opportunities to showcase your business or products in the main group. So right now, we're not letting people share posts because it was getting too messy. We will start allowing that on a more limited basis because we want to keep the engagement up. If you just throw your post out there and no one's engaging with it, it doesn't do you any good. But if we keep that engagement up and then VIP members get to share, you're going to get that in front of more eyes. We will also have group support and feedback on your business, which we have a little bit of in the main group, but this would be a little bit more specialized because it's a smaller group. There will also be a bi-weekly Q&A with group members led by Margot and myself. And then the first 25 people to sign up will get a free 25-minute LinkedIn profile assessment from me. So that's just kind of what we're doing for that. On to the main presentation for today is the SSI score. I don't know if anyone got a chance to look theirs up before we started, but the SSI score, I like to think of it as, and I don't know if anyone here watches Black Mirror, but there was an episode on that show where everyone walks around with their phones and every interaction you have can either increase your score or decrease your score. And, you get mad at the coffee guy and your score goes way down. LinkedIn kind of has their own version of this. Maybe it's a little bit creepy, but they rank you on your activity on LinkedIn. And you have a score that goes up or down based on that activity. Something about the score that not everyone knows is that if you interact with other people who have a high score, their comments are ranked higher in LinkedIn's algorithm than someone who has a low score. So someone like me who has a fairly high score, I have an 84 right now. If I comment on Margot's post or Brian's post, LinkedIn values that comment higher than someone who has a 40. A little bit creepy, but it's also good to know if you're trying to grow your business on LinkedIn. We went over a few of the elements last week, and because not everyone was here, I'm just going to kind of cover them real quick because the main point of today is to dig in real deep into that last element. But, some of the things to increase your score, establish yourself as a thought leader. So, posting articles on a regular basis, posting posts on a regular basis. Anything that's talking about your industry and teaching people is establishing yourself as a thought leader. Engaging with insights. One thing that I didn't realize when I first started increasing my score was that sharing other people's posts is actually a way to increase your score. LinkedIn does want that to happen. And I never did it because, when I share other people's posts, it doesn't get as much reach as my posts personally. So I didn't think it was even worth it. If you comment on someone's post, isn't that going to show up in the newsfeed of your connections? Yes, but sharing helps with that as well. Also, if you go into hashtags of things that are in your industry or things that you're following, and you comment on those posts in the hashtags and comment on, and share them with your network, it's basically, just spending a little bit of time each day engaging with people that aren't necessarily in your network. Nurturing and developing relationships. If you connect with somebody, try and reach out to them, try and comment on their posts, try and, think of it, it's almost like real life networking. If you meet someone at a networking party and you get their business card, it doesn't do anything. But if you email them or call them, that's that next step that then makes it a relationship instead of just, ooh, I have 10 million business cards, which I'm sure we all do. I am totally guilty of that. So today, Margot and I really wanted to talk about this last aspect of the SSI score, finding and connecting with the right people, because it's something that's a little bit more in depth than the other aspects. Some of you probably know there are a lot of tools that LinkedIn has to help you find new prospects. There's Sales Navigator and Search, and LinkedIn wants you to use these tools. They bump your SSI score by doing that. So, one of the things is who's viewed your profile. And this is one little change that I personally made that helped bump my score up. I had a 65 when I first checked it, and in about 2 months, I've managed to bring it to an 84. So it's not too hard to do it, and you just make a few little changes. And one of the changes that I made was that I started looking at the profiles of people that viewed me. And if it made sense, I comment on their posts. So if they're a prospect, I'll just go in and say, oh, hey, thanks. And, because if they're looking at my profile, they're doing it for a reason. Humanize that connection and even connect with them. And it's going to boost your score. And it also helps you to grow your network with the right people. So then finding and connecting with warm leads. So this is something that is pretty unique to LinkedIn. You can say you're targeting accountants. You can go into LinkedIn, find accountants, and then find all the ones that are second degree connections and then see who they're connected to you with. And, one thing that has been recommended to me that works really, really well for people is you create like a template email, and then you reach out to the person who's a second degree connection and say, hey, I'm looking to connect with accountants. Do you know any who might be in need of my services? And if they say, they might say, oh no, because I don't have any off the top of my head. You can say, well, I have this list of people who I've noticed are accountants that you're connected with. And maybe if I give you a few names, it'll help you think of some. And you go through the names and they'll say, oh, well, actually, what, that person could use your services. And you say, hey, could you give me a warm can you connect me with them? And I even have an email template, so it's easy. All you have to do is copy, paste, and send it to them. Because you don't want to make it hard on people. I mean, we're all busy. Yes, I would like you to introduce me to these people, but, are you going to take 2 hours of your time to do it? Probably not. So there's, finding and connecting with warm leads, there's definitely ways to do it to make it easier as well. And then the last thing is Sales Navigator and Search. And there are so many things you can do with this. We're just going to give you guys a broad overview. LinkedIn does want you to use these tools. Spending a few minutes every day using them will increase your SSI score, even if you're not necessarily using it to find prospects. But it's a really great way to find prospects. And I'm going to go through Search, and then I'm going to let Margot take over for Sales Navigator because she has more experience with that than I do. So let's say, you guys can tell who I've been targeting lately, right? Let's go roofing owner. So these are all the different aspects, and I don't know how many of you have explored them, but you can go pretty deep just in search. Sales Navigator goes even deeper, but you can really say, oh, let's see posts about roofing owners, and you can go in there and comment on things that are relevant. It's a really good way to kind of get yourself out in front of some of these people. Oh, that's me. Oops, sorry. And then when you get into posts, you can do, whether it's posted by you or first connections. So there's really just so much that you can get into to figure out and find the content that you want to find, or find the people that you want to find, jobs, if that's what you're looking for, companies. And again, even if you're not necessarily wanting to use this tool, just spending 5 minutes a day using it will increase your score, which then gets your posts in front of more people. Real quick before I turn it over to Margot, since bringing my score from a 65 to an 84, I have comments from second degree connections that I was never getting before. It was always first degree connections, and a lot of posting into the void where I wasn't getting any response at all. And it's interesting to me that it's very clear that LinkedIn is showing my things to more people, and just raising the score by 20 points. And I think I was talking to someone and they were like, well, how do I get it to a 90 or a 95? And from what I've read and heard, getting yourself over an 80 is really kind of where you want to be. So 90 or 95 is like trying to be perfect. It's really hard to get there. So I would say shoot for like 80 to 85, but maybe Margot has different ideas on that. Margot, I'm going to turn it over to you now.
Okay, great. So, everyone knows me, I'm an accountant, right? So numbers are always the thing that pops up by me. So it's like we need a LinkedIn score, right? And the first thing that comes to mind is like, you need a credit score too. So it's kind of like if you think about the importance of an SSI score, it's kind of like the importance of developing your income if you think about it in a different way, the concept behind it. And I'm sharing this to you in this way is because the number one accounting mistakes is that people spend loads and loads of money on marketing and it goes nowhere. It can take somewhere as like 50% of people's budget and it just goes nowhere. And happened to me. I spent thousands and thousands of dollars because I thought that's what should be. I would like scroll Facebook and LinkedIn and all of these things until I really learned LinkedIn. And it's not about doing necessarily more, it's about mastering the process. And people usually take on more and don't necessarily master things. And there's two different ways, and those two distinctions are really, really key. Now, I want to touch on what Chloe said is about the right people. If you serve everybody, you serve nobody. And when you serve nobody, what happens is that you're exhausting all this energy and you're like, nothing is working, nothing is working, nothing is working. But like Chloe said so perfectly, she focuses on roofers. It's targeting the people who you want to reach. And it's fine tuning your message that way. Because when you speak to the right people, those people are going to respond. And it's doing a lot of listening what those people want. And I could tell you, Chloe is way better at that than me. And that's why I think we work well together, because she's amazing at listening from a deep level. And I do, but my level of where she is, very, very different. So I love how she pointed out the second degree, how people are reaching out to her. And what happens in there is that just means that all those little things behind the scenes are really working. And that's the focus here we want to share to you, is that those steps we want to give to you. Now, the other thing about streamlining this process is like when you have common connections with people and now you're asking that common connection to introduce to you, that's like an exchange of warm leads for free. It's basically your time. You're not paying for it. It's just by your well-being and just by being a human. I mean, how cool is that? Versus waiting for a 7-step funnel system and all these expensive softwares that may not work, that may work, that will probably work, that will partly work. And then from an accounting perspective, you're spending that money, and then your ROI, which is your return on investment, is just at risk. And then now you took out a lower salary because of that, because that money was invested into your business and you couldn't take it home as a business owner. And all of these things, I see that on the private end, and it all deep roots into how people spend their money into marketing. So I'm going to share my screen a little bit on Sales Navigator, but the last part I want to go through, and just to complement what she said is, in the searches, with the search, you also can go to people's profile and they have their phone numbers. So if you are desperate for leads and you just want to make a sale and you just want to talk to leads and you have no idea what to do, or you need to make income because all of a sudden these expenses just come up. I mean, right? Like entrepreneurs, it comes up every day. Something just came up for me last night that I had to pay for. I'm like, oh, damn, I don't want to pay for that. And nothing hurts worse than when we got to pay for something that we don't want, right? It hurts. And I'm like queen of that. I hate paying for stuff that I don't want. So with those types of things, a key action thing that you guys could do today is what she showed you in the search is you can just go to people's profile. And if they have their number there, that's their permission of saying, hey, you can call me. And now if it's in your first connection, it's even easier because they're already in your section, they're already in your sector, and they're like, hey, call me. You could even send them a text and be like, hey, when is a good time to call you? I saw that you have your number, and just put out like a warm message and just being human. Because you know what wins? Being human, not necessarily that 7-step funnel and that fancy stuff. At the end of the day, because people are busy, and I put that quote unquote because you don't really know what they're busy with, is what wins is being human. So I'm now going to share my screen and I'm going to give you a little bit more in depth on Sales Navigator. Now, when you go into LinkedIn, we touched on this last week, and I'm just going to go over it a little bit again. There's free way and there's paid way. My account is paid, so it may not be exactly the same thing as if anybody here has the free account, and there's no judgments of either way. It's a matter of what you would get. The reach is way further when you have a paid account. So if you put in here in a search, like let's say if here I put contractors, a ton of people are going to come up. So see all people results, and it just comes up. Now you can narrow, how cool is this, is that you can just literally narrow this down by location. So like if I'm going to put in here New York, I'm going to show the results. And now I'm going to get even closer of 12 people that I can contact today. Now, if we go into these people's profile, we can see if there's an email address, if there's not, if you want to connect with them and decide what you want to do. So there's so many ways organically that you can put yourself on the schedule for just 15 minutes a day so that you can network with the right people and build your reach and so on. So I'm going to now jump into like what Sales Navigator is about, because this is something that really has changed my business from multitudes of different ways. Just about a few weeks ago, I made a decision to do Facebook ads, and after it didn't feel good. It didn't feel right. All these sorts of things was happening, and I hired someone that they do my SEO, and he does Facebook ads, and I got caught up in the wrong energy. Very quickly, somebody else is coming in, so I am going to let them in. Very quickly, I took it back. I paid them because I didn't want them to feel, at a loss for what would happen. And I took it back because I realized I've been mastering LinkedIn all these years, and it's working. So sometimes we also divert our energy in multitudes of different places. And then what happens is that we're trying to master everything and we master nothing. So Now we're going to jump into Sales Navigator. So if you guys have a paid ad, it really is something really cool. So you click Sales Navigator, and now I'm just going to jump to this tab. Actually, I want you to guys see what happens. So now all sorts of different things come up, and what happens is that you go to all filters. Now, the coolest thing about the filters is that you get to choose who you want to talk to, and you get to reach people like all over the states. So even though people are sitting there hammering and whoring and complaining that with COVID that they can't get out anywhere, at your fingertips, you can get leads, you can get prospects, however you want to name them, with no end. It's a matter of how much time and how much you really want to do with it. So with these cool specifications, you can pull up various different things. I'm going to go back to this in a second, but I have, like in my Sales Navigator, I have saved searches already so that when I'm ready to connect with more people, it comes up for me and it's doing the work for me that I don't have to do it again. So I'm going to walk you through with the templates. So keywords is really cool. Keywords is the keyword that's going to connect you with that ultimate amazing person that you want to help. Now, I'm going to just point out some of the things that for me I use. I don't necessarily use every single box. I just didn't find it necessary. You have the geography of where they're located. For me, I try to locate people that are within my area. It doesn't necessarily matter in my field because I don't do tax, but there's so many people that are in my reach of the tri-state area that's what I focus on. And that's really an individual decision. Now, the relationship is how close they are in your network. So third degree is pretty far. Group members, the advantage to the group members is two key things. And this is actionable items you can do today is those people in the groups that you connect with, you could actually message them without inviting them to connect them. It's literally something you could spend about 30 minutes of your time in the morning and just bang out messages so that you can start connections and start conversations with those beautiful people that you want to teach or reach, to put into your network. And that's the common ground of what everybody came today is like, we want to network and reach, the right people. Now, the other thing is here, which is really important, is the seniority level and the title. Now, a lot of people get caught up in objections of sales, but what happens is that if you're not speaking to the right person when you prospect, it just wastes your time. You generally, or sometimes like in the bigger corporations, you have multiple conversations, but it's important to talk to the right people. And that's the amazing cool feature about Sales Navigator is that you get to choose what person you talk to. Now, it doesn't mean they're answering their own emails and things, but at least you have one step towards that direction. Now, the company headcount is truly important because if you're just like a one-man shop, something like self-employed, the 1 to 10 is going to work for you. But if you're looking to really build, then you're going to embark on these higher numbers when you're choosing into the search. Now, past company, I don't find these types of things as helpful. I generally find the company headcount and the title pretty important because then I'm getting myself closer to the types of clients that I want to reach. Now, all of these specifications, you got to screw up to get ahead. People get upset when they screw up. You can't get upset when you screw up. And I'm calling it a screw up because you didn't necessarily get the win that you wanted or get the prospect that you wanted or that you thought. And all these expectations built in the meantime. What happens is that you're developing all this information, that you're taking the information and then doing one change, doing one thing different. So now if you take anything from this presentation today is 1% change a month is 12% change a year, which means 12% that you changed your business by just doing one thing different. Now, you can challenge that all you want and do 1% change each week, and then you're 52% higher than most people. So you can really do whatever you want. So I hope you guys really enjoyed today, the combination from Chloe and I. I also want to personally invite you all into our VIP group because we have some crazy, crazy content that are prepared. And a big thing people keep asking for is mastering your messaging. And there's some pretty awesome stuff that I can't wait to share there. So um, I'm going to open it and I'm going to unmute everybody and then stop the recording. Um, I want to hear the questions and just let the whole energy flow. And I thank you all guys again for coming.